a peasant with no education, a mystic with no church, a man they tried to poison, stab, shoot, and drown, yet somehow still wouldn't die. You've heard the legends. You've seen the memes. You've probably danced to Boney M's or Rasputin. But what if the real Rasputin wasn't the cartoon villain history turned him into? What if behind the rumors of black magic, seduction, and manipulation was a far more complex and far more terrifying truth? What if Rasputin didn't bring down the Romanovs, but simply exposed how weak they already were? This is not the Rasputin you think you know. This is the forgotten truth behind the man who haunted Russia's throne. Before we uncover the secrets, don't forget to like, comment your theory, and subscribe to Mystery Junky for more real stories darker than fiction. Grigory Yefimovich Rasputin was born in 1869 in the icy depths of Siberia, in a remote village called Pokrovskoy. His early life was bleak. Poverty, isolation, and superstition shaped his worldview. He had no formal education. He couldn't read or write until later in life. But he had something else, something harder to explain. Stories from his village describe him as possessing visions, strange powers, and even the ability to heal animals and people with touch alone. Was it charisma, suggestion, or something unexplainable? At around age 28, Rasputin left home on a pilgrimage to find spiritual meaning. What he returned with was not just faith, but an intoxicating confidence and a magnetic presence that would eventually pull him into the orbit of the Russian Empire. By 1905, Rasputin had found his way into St. Petersburg, the beating heart of Russian aristocracy. He was introduced to the Tsar and Tsarina through religious circles. At that time, Tsarina Alexandra was desperate. Her son Alexei, heir to the throne, suffered from hemophilia. One wrong bump, and the boy could bleed to death internally. Rasputin was brought to Alexei's bedside. He prayed, he calmed the family, and by the next day, the boy's condition had improved. Coincidence? Or something more? From that moment forward, Alexandra believed Rasputin was sent by God. He became her spiritual advisor, her emotional support, and, some would say, her puppet master. Behind the scenes, this unwashed mystic began influencing royal decisions. Not through policy, but through fear and faith. Whispers spread fast in royal halls. How could a filthy peasant with no title or education have the ear of the Tsarina? And more importantly, what was he doing with it? Rasputin quickly became one of the most hated figures among the Russian elite. He was accused of seducing noble women, drinking excessively, and using his position for personal gain. Yet no matter how loud the complaints grew, Alexandra defended him with unwavering devotion. To her, Rasputin was more than just a healer. He was a divine messenger. To his enemies, he was a parasite sucking the life from the monarchy. Newspapers began publishing scandalous tales. Rasputin as a womanizer, a devil in disguise, a cult leader cloaked in mysticism. Whether these were true or not didn't matter. The image stuck. During World War I, Tsar Nicholas left the capital to command Russian forces. In his absence, Alexandra, guided by Rasputin, essentially ruled the country. Cabinet ministers were fired and hired at Rasputin's suggestion. Key policies were decided through his divine insights. To the public, it appeared the empire was being run by a mad monk and a delusional empress. Historians now believe Rasputin's real political influence was exaggerated. But in an unstable empire teetering on collapse, even rumors became reality. Rasputin became a scapegoat for every failure, every famine, every defeat. He was no longer just a man. He was a symbol of everything wrong with the Romanovs. December 30th, 1916, a group of nobles, fearing Rasputin's growing grip on the throne, decided to eliminate him. The plan was simple: invite him to dinner, poison him, and be done with it. But Rasputin didn't go down easy. Prince Felix Yusupov gave him cyanide-laced wine and cakes. Rasputin laughed and ate more. Panicked, Yusupov shot him in the chest. Rasputin collapsed, but minutes later, stood up and lunged at his killer. Another shot, still alive. He ran into the snowy courtyard before being shot again and finally thrown into the frozen Neva River. Some say when his body was found, water was in his lungs, meaning he died by drowning, not from poison or bullets. A myth? A miracle? Or an exaggerated tale to amplify his legend? Either way, Rasputin was dead, but the fear of him wasn't. So what's the truth behind Rasputin's mystic powers? Some researchers believe he used hypnosis or a calm presence to ease Alexei's stress, which could help slow bleeding in a hemophiliac. Others say he instinctively knew how to manipulate people, combining religious language, eye contact, and confidence to create the illusion of power. There's even a theory that Rasputin may have instructed the Tsarina to stop giving Alexei certain medications, like aspirin, which worsens bleeding, accidentally saving him. As for his so-called affairs and orgies, some of it may have been real. Rasputin had a known appetite for women and fame, but much of it was likely exaggerated by the secret police and monarchist enemies to discredit him. In short, Rasputin was both the monster they feared and the myth they created. Rasputin wasn't born in a palace. He had no formal education, no wealth, no connections. Yet he rose higher than any peasant in the Russian Empire had ever dared. He walked among nobles, influenced monarchs, and haunted the dreams of aristocrats who couldn't understand how one man could hold such power. But Rasputin didn't seize the throne. The throne invited him in. The Romanovs were desperate for hope, for healing, for answers. And in that desperation, they created a vacuum. Rasputin simply filled it. His real magic wasn't supernatural. It was psychological. He told people what they wanted to hear. He mirrored their fears. And most importantly, he made himself indispensable. To Alexandra, he was the only one who could save her son. To Nicholas, he was the spiritual guardian of the family's future. And to his enemies, he was proof that the empire was doomed. If a man like Rasputin could rise so high, then surely the monarchy deserved to fall. The irony is, Rasputin's death didn't save the Romanovs. Just 2 years later, they were executed in a basement by the Bolsheviks. The dynasty he was accused of corrupting was already crumbling before he ever arrived. Rasputin didn't cause the Russian Revolution, but he did become its most convenient ghost. Today, his name lives on, in pop culture, in conspiracy theories, and in whispers of black magic and mysticism. But the real Rasputin, he was a man who embodied the chaos of his time. Not a villain, not a saint, but a mirror. A mirror held up to a decaying empire that refused to see its own reflection. That is why Rasputin still fascinates us, because his story feels timeless. A tale of power, desperation, and the terrifying question: what happens when the person pulling the strings is someone no one understands? So what do you believe? Was Rasputin truly gifted? Or was he the ultimate opportunist? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to Mystery Junky for more forgotten history, dark legends, and the chilling truths hidden beneath the surface.